Jody, welcome to the show. I am so excited to get the opportunity to sit down with you and talk with one of my very favorite princesses today. This is so much fun.
Well, it's lovely to get to chat with you too, and I appreciate you reaching out to me. This is great.
I know, absolutely. Well, I'm so excited about your new book, Part of My World. I have had so much fun reading it. I'm about halfway through now, and just reading some of your story and getting to know the woman behind the voice of one of my favorite princesses has been so much fun. And that's kind of where I'd love to start today. There are so many stories that I could have picked from that I'd love for you to share or kind of unpack today. So I've narrowed it down, but I'll
Okay.
start with this. So Paige O'Hara wrote your foreword of the book, and she said something that I love. She said, Jody didn't just play Ariel, Jody is Ariel. And I
Mm.
would love to just start by talking through what it was like for you to discover and sort of become this character that has become so beloved that also maybe felt so much like you.
hmm Well, first of all, I had no idea that Paige was going to be writing the foreword, and I didn't read it until after I had finished the book, and it was the final edit that was in front of me, and the publishing
Oh
team was
wow.
like, "Would you like to read the foreword?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, I'm ready." And so, of course, I read it and, kind of wept like a baby. And then I called her, and I was just so touched that, we've been friends for over 40 years, that she would take the time
Mm,
out to write that and to share her heart and to do it on the audiobook. She went into the studio and recorded it as well. All just, to do
oh, I
that for
love
me as
that.
a friend was incredible. But I do love the way that she wrote that, because I guess I don't really think of Ariel as a character as much as we are just we're kind of woven into each other's lives, and we're a
Mm,
part of one another. And because I created Ariel, and Ariel came to life once my voice was added, along with Glenn Keane, obviously Glenn's amazing animation, but just the vision of who Ariel was going to be was unknown at the time. So when we kind of all blended our
mm.
aspects together in one and she was created, it just kind of took this life, and I just jumped into this journey along with her. So it wasn't like this is one of the voices I do, or this is one of the characters that I'm a part of. This
Sure.
character in particular is much more woven into the fabric of who I am, and we are blended
Mm.
together much more so than any other character that I've done before. So, probably because of the length of time, being 35 or 36
Sure.
years, but probably even more so just the fact that she and this movie has changed the face of animation forever, and the fact that it she propelled our studio into this whole new area of
Mm.
animation, and brought so much life to the Broadway musical, combining it with, feature animation. It just makes it extra special. She's
Yeah.
unique and one of a kind. So it's kind of hard to describe, but we're definitely woven into each other's lives for sure.
Mm, I love that. I love that so much. And in the very beginning of the book, you talk about um, sort of the recording process of some of those first songs, like Part of Your World, and how different of an experience that was for you than some of the work that you had done on Broadway. And I
Mm.
loved reading that. I was a musical theater girl in high school. And
Oh,
so
great.
just getting to read some of your story was so fun for me. And, I would love for you to just share a little bit of that story, what that was like for you, and that just that new challenge of entering into sort of a new area.
Yeah, I mean, I completely did not know what I was doing at all. I mean, I talk about feeling incompetent,
Yeah.
completely out of out of sync with anything that was happening around. I had no sense of what was going on around me. I was literally floundering. I hate to use that word, but truly just lost. I
I
just
love it.
showed up at the studio and tried to just do what I was told, but I was so uncomfortable and so out of my comfort zone. And thank God that Howard Ashman was there. He was my saving grace. He truly was, because I had just worked with him on Broadway, and we had just worked together during, our show called Smile on Broadway. And so we'd spent a lot of time together on that show, and we knew each other well. And so he just gave me so much peace. When I would just look over at him, I could sort of center myself, like, okay, I'm supposed to be here. But over and over in my head, all that kept rolling through was, why am I here? Why me?
Yeah.
Why did I get this job? I'm completely not qualified for this whatsoever. I mean, everybody had auditioned for her, people that had been behind a microphone for decades and knew what they were doing, and I didn't know anything. So I came from this position at the first day of work of just feeling so incompetent and inadequate and less than and completely unqualified. And I just had to cling to the fact that, God does extraordinary things through very ordinary people. So I thought, well, I'm very ordinary and I don't know what I'm doing. So in my weakness, he is strong. I'm just going to wing it, and I'm certainly not going to pretend like I know what I'm doing. So I made sure everybody knew that. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So just tell me what to do. I'll follow direction. I'll do what I'm told. I kept telling Ron and John, the directors, there's nothing you can say or do that's going to offend me. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Just tell me what to do, and I'll be the go-to person. Because I'm a get her done girl. You just give me a list and I'll do it.
Yeah.
You tell me what to do, I'm your girl. You need something done, that's me. So I just kept communicating that with everyone around me, and the engineers, just to say,
Yeah.
please tell me when I'm doing something wrong, and educate me, because this is not my comfort zone. So I just had to kind of be very vulnerable and be willing to laugh at myself and make fun of myself, which I'm comfortable doing, and certainly being teachable. So it was
Yeah.
that was a crazy week. That really was. I was so insecure and so nervous, and everybody around me was lovely and kind and generous and supportive, and no attitudes or anything like that from the fellow cast members, who were all just incredibly talented. And they were gracious. They were really gracious to me. But thank God for Howard, because I would never have made it through.
Hey friends, quick break in this conversation to remind you of something. If you are loving the show, you're loving the conversations we're having, it would mean the absolute world to me if you would leave a rating and a written review on Apple Podcasts for Radical Radiance. When that happens, when more of those happen, the show gets put in front of more women, and in turn, it allows them the opportunity to take part in conversations that will show them more about what it looks like to radiate the heart of Jesus. And I can't think of anything better than that. So it would mean the world to me if you would take just 2 minutes of your time and leave a rating and a written review. I'd love to hear what you think. Now, let's get back to the conversation. Man, it makes me so thankful for those friends in my life who have shown up in similar situations where we can just look at them as sort of an anchor, right? Because I think somebody could come to this conversation and think that you walked into this experience 100% confident in your gifts and abilities and what God was doing through you, and that this was just going to be an awesome experience, right? And so I think for all of us to hear, man, this was a leap of faith. This took a lot of courage for me to step outside of my comfort zone. I think at least it causes me to take a little bit of a breath, a little bit of an exhale to know that I'm in good company, right? Because we all
Right.
have those moments in our lives where God calls us to something brand new. We have no idea what we're doing. And so I love that you share that. And one of the other moments that caught me by surprise as I was reading the book, and I thought it was so interesting, was the moment where part of your world almost got cut from the movie. Will you share that with us?
Yes, yeah, that was a scary few days. So before the film is released, they'll do screeners. They'll do test audiences. Sometimes with media, depending on what the time frame is.
Sure.
But several weeks before, whether it's 8 weeks before, 12 weeks before, 4 months before. It'll be half animated, half pencil sketch, a little bit of both. So it's in those final stages, and they'll just start doing some test screenings. And this particular screening was with some family members and some little ones, maybe 3, 4 year olds, and then there were some older children as well. And they're not usually huge. And they're usually on the lot, so it's one of the private screening rooms. And one of our executives, Jeffrey Katzenberg, was there, of course, and executives will come in and out on these particular screenings and glance. They may not watch the whole thing, but just sort of get a little feedback as to what the audience is thinking. So this particular screening, there was a 3 or 4 year old little boy in front, sitting in front of Jeffrey with a parent and popcorn. And right at the beginning of Part of Your World, or like right when Ariel starts singing, this little boy dumped the popcorn. And instead of just sort of, watching the movie, and this little guy decided to get down on his hands and knees and pick up every kernel, to clean up his mess and put it back into the container, which was really sweet. And so Jeffrey interpreted that as this young gentleman was restless, and this song is boring, for little ones. There's not enough activity going on. There's not enough humor. There's not enough animation. Something like eye candy, to keep the child occupied. So he kind of
Yeah.
sat down with Ron and John and the directors, and then with Alan and Howard, and said, basically, I think this song needs to be cut because it's just not capturing
Yeah.
the attention span for these little ones. So that was the decision from Jeffrey, was that we're going to cut Part of Your World. And it was really Howard that just kind of said, you can't do that. This is the I
Yeah.
Want song that we have in every, Broadway musical, where the lead character expresses their thoughts, their wishes, their desires, their hopes, their dreams, their goals within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the project, the film, the musical, the play, whatever it may be, and expresses that so that the audience can fall in love with the lead character and then root for them and cheer them on throughout the whole musical, the whole film, and help them achieve that dream, by the end of the film, the
Yeah.
end of the musical. So I think Howard just really had to impress upon Jeffrey, that's a hard no. That's not happening. We're not cutting Part of Your World, because then
Yeah.
Ariel loses her voice. How else are we going to be able to communicate and care about her and cheer her on and root for her, if we don't have that song? So yeah, that's and Jeffrey will say today, that would have been his greatest regret in the industry, the worst
Yeah.
business decision he
I
would have
bet.
ever made. And it would
Wow.
have been a
That's
very
so
sad day
crazy.
for
And
me,
yeah,
because I sing
I
that song
know. It's a
every other
beautiful
day for the last
song.
35 years. So
Yeah.
what the heck would I be doing all these decades?
Yeah, exactly. Man, it's so hard to fathom that movie without that song. So I love that
Right.
story. And as you're talking, it makes me wonder, is there a moment in Ariel's story, as those moments kind of flash before your eyes, is there a moment that is maybe one of your favorites in the film that When you think back, you just think, oh yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Well, I think the whole process of recording the song was my favorite experience because I had
Yeah.
Glenn behind the glass animating. I had my directors. I had Howard standing to my left the entire time I was recording the song. And so those
Mm,
are the magical memories that I have that I can recall every time I'm singing the song are those moments in the studio with all of them. And those are just, priceless memories for me. So that truly is the most
yeah.
magical time of working on the film.
Do you remember vividly the cut that was it, the one that made the film? When you look back,
You know, we the way that we approached it is we did the whole song as a whole scene, as a whole monologue, meaning I
uh
didn't
huh,
record it and chop it up and put pieces together. The goal was to have
sure,
one whole complete pass of the monologue that happened to be put to pitch. So there were two or three passes that we all felt like that really told the story and that really captured her heart.
yeah,
I did not want to listen to the passes, so I didn't go into the booth afterwards because
yeah,
I didn't think that that was necessary. And I'm such a perfectionist that I wouldn't want to
mm,
go in there and start listening to it and picking it apart. Because, like Howard would say, even when I saw the film for the first time in a screening, he said, hold on, you're probably not gonna like part of your world. And I thought, oh, that's not a really great way to say, like, hey, come on, let's watch the film together. This is going to be really fun. He's like, we'll see how you feel. He goes, it's not
yeah.
a perfect pass, but it's a perfect pass for Ariel. And I
Ah,
knew what he meant by that, in that it wasn't going to be perfect vocally. And
mm-hmm.
it was best for me not to go into the booth and start nitpicking it apart note by note, because then what happens is you start punching and punching and punching, and you have 50 different pieces making one, and it's so choppy, it wouldn't work.
Sure,
So I think the way that they captured it basically all in one take, there may have been a
yeah,
few notes or a few seconds here or there that they slid some things in, but I didn't want to know,
mm,
because I trusted all of them. They knew what they
sure,
were doing and I didn't. So I was in excellent hands between Alan and Howard and Ron and John. They
yeah,
had it more than covered. They didn't need my
mm,
input. But I did feel that we had a good couple three that really communicated the heart of where she was at that moment.
I love that. And I want to go back to, we talked at the very beginning of our conversation about those moments where we kind of step into something new. And, for a listener coming to this conversation today, hearing your story and being encouraged by that, I would love to just ask you, what encouragement would you want to give her listening today as she's chasing after her own version of her calling, right? And using those gifts and talents God's given her to bring Him glory. How would you want to encourage her today?
I think about myself at age 17 when I went to college and feeling scared and excited and nervous, insecure, confident, kind of everything mixed into one, going off to college, wondering, what the
Yeah.
heck am I doing with these gifts that God has given me? Are these gifts good enough? Am I using them
Mm,
enough? And I think what I'd want to communicate to myself at that age, and these are the things with young people now today, especially with everything that's been going on with the pandemic and having the rug pulled out from underneath all these young people, in high school and college age, and those that had just launched to from graduation into adulting, into the real world,
yeah.
is to let them know that they're not alone, and to let them know that they're loved and they're cared for, that they matter, they have tremendous value, that they are treasured by God, that He does ultimately have a perfect plan and a perfect purpose for her. And
Yeah.
that's something that I had to really cling to and trust, but struggled with.
Hmm.
Like, is this real? And asking, like,
Yeah.
God, are you real? Are you real? And are you really there? Do you really care about me? I know that you've given me these gifts. How do you want me to use them? And how do I throw in everything to trust you and take this big leap of faith? So I would want to encourage a young person coming to me to say, you know what? You are loved. You are cared for. You are valued. Whether you believe it or not, it's a fact and it's truth. So you get to
Yeah.
choose to, no matter what your feelings are, I don't know if this is real, is clinging to the truth that you matter and that you are
Yeah.
treasured and that you are valuable. And his timing is everything. His timing is perfect. It always doesn't line up, with our timing. That's the tricky part. Our timing and
Sure.
his timing are in different spheres, just in a whole different way to think about it. But looking back at my age now and looking back, I can see that I didn't have the context of the big picture, that God would only give me
Mm,
enough light to take the very next right step. And a
that's right.
friend shared this image with me, like if you're camping at night or you're hiking back to your tent or something, and you have your little flashlight, and your flashlight just gives you enough light to place your foot safely one step in front of you, but not a whole lot more than that. You can't see like 6 feet. You
Mm,
definitely can't see, half an acre. Um, but you have enough to take the next right step. And I always think that's such a loving example of how God doesn't give us too much that we can't handle, because I don't know necessarily if He would have given me the vision at 17 of where I would be at 22. I don't think I could have handled it. I don't think I could
wow.
have
Yeah.
fathomed the twists and turns, because His plans were so different than what my little mind could imagine. And I think that He's
Sure.
loving and gracious and kind that way, to not give us more than we can handle. So if a young girl
Mm,
came to me today, that's what I would say. I'd say, take the next right step that you feel is the best
yeah.
of those
I love
steps right
that.
now.
And as you're talking, it
Asking God.
reminds me of,
Sometimes
yeah, just the
sometimes
such
there's
important
two
concept of
options
when
and
we
both are
place our
great. Like,
identity
choosing
in what we
flavors of an
do,
ice
like
cream.
you're saying,
Choose vanilla or
we
chocolate.
will feel that we come
Can't
up
go wrong
short. We
either
will be
way.
disappointed and we will
Can't
disappoint
go wrong.
others. And all of those
But go
things
ahead
may
and take
still
one
happen.
step.
But when we read ourselves
That's
in
what
that
faith and
truth
trust
of
is all about.
the fact that
I don't
as
know
followers of
necessarily
Christ,
where that
our
step
identity
is
is
going to
in Him,
land.
is in the
It could be
finished
on
work of Jesus
rock.
on the cross,
It could
and
be on
in
sand. It
what
could
that
be in
offers us.
water. I could
I
get
could
my
walk
shoe wet.
into a really
I
hard
might step
day a
on
lot more
an insect.
filled
I
up
might
with
get a
Him
bite.
rather
Whatever it
than
is,
being filled up
I'm
by
going to
what I
take
do,
that
because that's
chance
always
on
going to let
that
me
next
down,
step.
you know?
But
And
ultimately,
so
that's
I
where
think for me,
trust and
that's one
faith
thing
comes
that
in, that
I have to
all
constantly
things
point
work
myself
together for
back to and
good, and
remember
He's
on those
just got
harder days.
the
So
bigger picture
I
that
love that
I
so
can't
much.
absolutely,
And
begin to
and
fathom.
there's a question, Jody, that I ask all of the guests that come on the show, and I'm so excited to ask you today as we end our conversation together. The podcast is called Radical Radiance, with a heart to help women see how they can radiate the heart of Christ in all that they do.
Mm-hmm.
And it really goes back to a scripture God used as I was naming the show and kind of figuring out what's the vision for this ministry God's given me. And it was Psalm 34:5, which says, "Those who look to Him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed." And so the question I love
Mm,
asking is,
that's
what
beautiful.
about Jesus makes you radiant?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think I know for my husband and for our kids, Our daily prayer is to let us be light and salt
Yeah.
today and let us join you in your work, whatever that looks like. Whether I'm
Yeah.
folding laundry, washing dishes, mopping the floor, standing on a stage in front of 18,000 people singing,
Hmm.
whether I'm doing a podcast, chatting with some people, um, whether I'm sitting with someone in major grief and just holding their hand and crying with them, whatever it is,
Hmm.
that's part of the daily prayer. So, is it about what I'm doing or is it about who I am for the day? So,
Mm.
I don't know if the doing part matters as much as am I just going to be light and salt today? Am I going to love and serve others well today? Um, whether I'm in front of thousands of people or I'm by myself all day, whether it's
Hmm.
someone comes to my mind and I send a text and I say, thinking about you, praying for you right now, love you, um, or sending an email,
Hmm.
or just stopping and saying a silent prayer when someone comes across my mind. Uh, I think
Sure.
that's the way to keep life really simple. And we have a tendency to
Mm.
make following Jesus very complicated, like, I don't know, a list of rules and regulations and these big, huge things that can bring pressure and anxiety and frustration and depression and all of those aspects. Or do I just get down to something really simple, like, okay, I'm opening up my
Yeah.
eyes, and so today's your day, God. I have another day with you. I have another day here on earth. Let's go. I mean, I'm here. Use me
Yeah.
in whatever that looks like. Let me be light and salt. Let me love and serve others well. And that's my daily prayer. And then whatever happens
Mm.
throughout the day, I I know that he's in charge of it. I'm not God. I don't want to be
Yeah.
God. I don't want to be God over my life. I certainly
Yeah.
don't want to be God in anyone else's life. I don't want that. Um,
Yeah.
but I do have my responsibility of what I can be somewhat in control of. I can make a conscious choice to love and serve well
Mm.
today and to keep God
That's so good,
as an
Jody.
integral part
I
of my
just
day
have loved
for
hearing
the
from you
hours that I'm
today, and
awake,
I'm so excited
um,
for our friends to get their
to
hands on
involve
part of
Him
my
in
world, your new
every
book that should
detail,
be out
whether
in the
it's
world by the
big or
time
small,
everybody listens to this.
and
And
to
which I'm sure feels
constantly
so
be in
fun
a
and crazy
place
to you
of
because I know you've been
thanksgiving.
working on it for so long.
Because
And
when you're in a
so, for
place of
our friends
thanksgiving,
who have just loved
I
this
think it's a hard,
conversation, where can
it's more
they connect with
difficult
you?
to
Grab the
be
book anywhere books are
hopeless.
sold, I'm sure,
And
but
it's
where can
probably
they
more
connect with
difficult
you and
to
your work
be
after this
frustrated and
conversation?
angry and hurt and just overall anxious, I think. So when I'm in
Hmm.
a thankful state and I'm constantly just saying, thank you, God. Thank you so much. Thank you for this amazing day. Oh gosh, thank you for
Hmm.
the rain. We needed that rain today. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Just little bitty things that I'm
Hmm.
saying, quietly to myself. Oh, thank you for this.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I thought about that person today. God, thank you. I hope they're doing really well. And so it's not like these big, huge things or big dramatic
Sure.
things. Um, it's more in the simple, just in the simple way. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep things simpler, if I can,
Yeah.
to not just kind of get all caught up in everything.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, it is beautifully written and it has been a joy
It's
to
very
read for
kind.
me. I mean, Ariel was a big part of my childhood. And so to get to know the woman behind the mic feels really, really fun. And this conversation in particular has just been a total joy. I've loved getting to know you,
Well,
and you
thank
will
you,
you will
Rebecca. You're so
experience the
sweet.
same thing. Well, I've loved this, and readers and listeners will get the same experience when they pick up the book. And I know we talked through a
Ooh.
couple of my favorite stories in the book, but there are
Oh, so
so
many
many more
things.
amazing ones that everybody can get their hands on when they pick up Part of My World. So I can't wait
His
for that. And
endless
Jody, again, I
love
just want to say a
and
huge,
acceptance and
huge thank
forgiveness,
you for coming
I
on the show
think,
today. I've just loved our time together.
just blows me away at the endless amount of love that he has for me and for others, his constant ability to forgive as far as the east
Guys,
is from
I
the
hope you
west. And
loved that
when I
conversation
blow
with
it,
Jody as much as I
yes,
did.
every
You
day,
have to go
every other
grab a
day,
copy of Part of
and
My
I can
World
come
and
to
go read the
him and
rest of her
constantly
story.
say,
It
gosh,
is
I am so
such a good
sorry, I
book.
just blew
It's a
that.
great
And
read this time of
if I need to
year,
ask
and I just
forgiveness
think
from
you're going to love it so
somebody,
much.
from my
So thank
husband, my
you so much for
kids,
joining me. We will be back
from
next
him,
episode with another great
uh,
conversation,
to
and I
know
can't wait
that
to join you then.
he's not looking at me going, "Oh, yeah, wow, we're heading back to that one again. Really, really, I thought we got that one worked out." You know, he's just going, "Yeah, yep, yep. You're a works in progress. Yes, I forgive you. I forgive you." So I think it's his endless love and forgiveness that just
Yeah.
blows me away. That I'm in awe of, and he leads that example for me as to how to love and forgive others as well. So he's constantly reminding me, the Holy Spirit's constantly reminding me, remember how many times I've forgiven you about that? Remember that? Yeah,
Mm,
you need to do that times this amount. So remember, each person that you're looking at, they got their own story, they've got their own journey, they've got their own hurts, they've got things going on that you have no idea. So judge not, lest you be judged.
yeah.
Judge not, lest you be judged. Over and over again. If I get frustrated about something or I see something and I get like indignant about it or I get like a little self-righteous or whatever,
Hmm.
I can just hear the Holy Spirit going, "Oh yeah, yep, yep, yep. God's had to deal with you on that. Yeah, many times. So,
Hmm.
all that love He's poured on you, all that forgiveness He's poured on you, how about you cycle that around? How about you show,
Mm,
like, God's given you the example, so now you get to do that to others." So it's that
yeah.
that that big
Yeah.
reminder. Um, so that's what I think just shines and radiates from Jesus is unbelievable love and forgiveness that has no end. That's
Mm.
just ever flowing, ever pouring out, is oof, just amazing. Well, I think I know that Tyndale Publishing has like a website for the book and ways that you can buy
Yes.
it through Amazon and all those good places. Um, but for me, and when I travel and perform, and whether I'm doing concerts or symphonies or projects with Disney and conventions, I try my best to keep people informed through social media. Probably mostly through Instagram, just
Awesome.
seems to be the one that's the easiest to try to, as best I can. I'm not so great with it, but we do try to keep people a little bit informed as to what's coming up next. But yeah, so that's kind of the way. And this little book, it's definitely a God thing. It wasn't. It wasn't part of my plan. It was never part of my plan to write a book, but Tyndale came, and when they presented it to me, I initially said no, of course, and then 3 months went by,
Mm.
and then they said, we're going to ask you to really pray about this. And if one person were to read a story and be encouraged, would it be worth it? And I thought, yeah, it
Mm.
would be for one reader. If one reader is encouraged by some part of what God has done in or through me, then it will have been worth it. And again, it's more of a love letter and shining the light on other people. I didn't want a book about me, but it's really more the stories of sharing about other people and
Yeah.
highlighting them and putting the spotlight on them. And for that, I was really excited to be able to get to say thank you to so many people.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much, Rebecca. It was wonderful to get to meet you and chat with you, and I really appreciate your kindness and your support and for having me on your program, and I wish you all the best and take care and God bless you.